What's going on, guys? And welcome back to the Dual Hemisphere Hangout, episode 3. We missed a week for some craziness, but we're back for episode 3 today. Obviously, going to introduce my lovely co-host Jake. Man, why don't you go tell the people tell the people you say hi?
Hello, everyone. Hello. Yes. Sorry. Apologies for missing a week. As with every project, maybe you thought, oh, they've given up. It's 2 episodes. It was a 2 episode wonder. No, Luke got hit by a hurricane.
Yes, it was. So first things first, if you guys are listening and you're in the US or you're not in the US, I've been looking at some crazy demos. We've got people in Colombia, people in Australia, people in the United Kingdom listening to us. And Florida, it is officially hurricane season. Hurricane season starts in October, and right on cue, a Cat 4 hurricane came up the coast of Florida, and thank God, thank the good Lord above, we were very lucky. It was projected to hit us dead on. Within the last 30 minutes, it curved about 20 miles upwards. So Tallahassee, where I'm from, completely unscathed. Unfortunately, if you are watching the news, not a whole lot of people were as lucky as us. A lot of the areas around us got really messed up by the hurricane. So thoughts are to those families. Hopefully they're getting the help they need. But I mean, yeah,
You
hurricanes
dodged
are a
it.
big thing. Yeah, hurricanes are a big thing here, and yeah, because of that, just the power is crazy. We were trying to find work because what we do, we have to partner with storefronts, and no one was open because no one had power, so we were kind of scrambling around. But besides that, honestly, just thankful that everything, besides that, turned out okay. I think as the week has progressed, I think people are starting to get their power back, so that's always really good, and just hopefully, fingers crossed, no more big storms are coming our way anytime soon. But it is October, and there are plenty in the Gulf, and you just never know. Welcome to Florida, Luke.
It's a risky place to live. All the nice places to live are very risky.
Very, yes, very much so.
Luckily, Perth on this side, we don't get a lot of the stuff, but I know on the over east, they get some serious weather.
What would you what would
Hurricanes.
you what would you say is like your biggest, like the biggest natural disaster that Perth would possibly face on that side?
Um, I think it'd probably be like the remnants of like a tsunami, but
Okay.
I don't think there's any like fault lines or anything. So obviously, like Japan and parts of Asia get hit quite badly on that fault line, but that fault line goes on the east side of Australia as well. So like they would catch the swell while Australia's landmass just takes one for the team for us, and it's like, well, little old
Okay.
Perth doesn't. We get some really bad winds, but I don't think it would ever turn into a tornado type thing. Like,
No,
not a
not typically.
chance. Um, so and then because there's no fault lines, there's no earthquakes either. So I think I'm natural disasters go as natural disasters go, like safe.
Yeah. I
I
think the
said,
only natural thing you have to worry about the animals and the
yeah.
wildlife.
And because the ground's so dry, I suppose there's a very high risk of flooding. Um,
Yeah.
because obviously when dirt cooks so and it becomes rock hard, it can't absorb moisture, so the water just sits on top. So if we were to have like flash flooding downfalls, it's like,
Yeah.
but because we're so close to the sea, there'll be loads of like drain off rivers. So it doesn't
Yeah.
really make a difference. Yeah, I'm pretty safe in terms of natural disasters, unlike the good old equator childs of Colombia
Yes.
and
Yeah,
Mexico
definitely.
and
Storms and hurricanes are a very big thing about on the East Coast of the United States. It's just that Gulf water, man. The hurricanes, they love that Gulf water, man, and they just shoot right up the Gulf. And Florida is literally right. It's either hitting Florida or it's hitting Louisiana and maybe brushing up against Texas. Like it's thank God we're not living in Cuba because good Lord, those places be getting hit hard all the time. So
oh, those little
yeah,
like Polynesian islands, bless them. Oh God,
bless
like
bless their heart.
I don't.
So
Is it
you
Poly-
mentioned
Carry
yeah,
on.
I think yeah they're probably so they have like we have like the they're not I don't know if it's Polynesian I'm not
I
sure
know there's
I
like
don't want
little
to
islands below Florida, in between Florida and
yeah
like
those are they're
South
like they're
America,
not
and
Polynesian, they're more like Hispanic, so it's like Honduras, Haiti, Cuba,
Yeah, yeah,
the Dominican Republic.
they just get whacked, man,
Yeah,
every single
they,
time.
but they literally they're literally in the trajectory of the storm. Like it's just like, don't even bother building a house. Just like it's gonna get funny.
Oh
I
man,
shouldn't be laughing because
no.
it's not funny, but it's definitely a thing for sure. But you did mention like you guys might have like flooding. So in Australia, it doesn't get cold. So do you guys have just like rainy seasons and dry seasons? Is that like the two seasons that you guys
Yeah, like winter just becomes an absolute rain fest. Like
have? Okay,
we've just come out of winter now. We're going into spring, obviously because
okay,
southern hemisphere is opposite. You'd know
yeah,
if you play Animal Crossing.
yes, you would.
um, but yeah, it's just torrential rain all the time.
Okay,
It's like it's sometimes they get hailstones, and I think
okay,
Australia was caught off. Well, Perth was caught off guard with golf ball sized hailstones. And now it's written into every car insurance contract. Does your car
all
have
right.
hailstorm damage? It's like, no. What do you mean? It's Australia. It doesn't hail.
Yep.
But yeah, we had some very well in comparison to America, not so fast winds, but they were pretty fast, like 125 kilometers.
Okay.
And that I felt that in the house, like,
Yeah.
but nothing flew away. But it
Yeah.
was very, very. It was roaring along the metal tin rooftops. You could hear it like, oh baby,
I
especially at
just
3 in
I
the morning
just
as well, waking me up.
Oh yeah, big time. I just remember, oh God, I remember the days when me, you, Seb, and Nick would hang out, and Seb would be in his attic, and the hail would hit the roof, and you'd have to stop. It's like, oh, I gotta go, guys. I gotta go deal with this stuff,
Boy,
man. But yeah,
sweep the hail off the roof. He'd have to go sweep
yeah,
the roof.
yeah. He would. Bless his soul. That man was it was always hailing. He'd just be talking. It's like he'd just be talking. It's like, what's going on out there? He had his headphones on so he wouldn't hear it, and then he'd be like,
I
I
think
gotta
there's
go
a clip
take care of
somewhere that I
this.
have, or it's on his old Twitch, where it's like, sorry guys, I can't hear you. And he's just
Yes, natural disasters. Well, you mentioned Animal Crossing, and I think this is kind of where we're going to kind of take this podcast today. Is really, I mean, I guess I would say one of the biggest things. Obviously, you already kind of know our background, obviously, meeting through Twitch, but definitely one of the biggest things I would say that we probably have in common is probably just our love for video games in general. You know, I've been a gamer probably since I was six, since I could pick up a Game Boy Color. And I honestly just want to kind of get your thoughts on like really just like what you grew up with gaming, and like how it's transitioned to what it is now, and would you still consider yourself a gamer?
um, I don't. I am a gamer, but I don't
Okay.
see myself as one. I think that the bar has risen to qualify yourself as a gamer,
Yes.
because people obviously now do this for jobs. And when I was a kid, there was no such thing as gaming as a career. I mean, you become a game developer, and that I suppose
Yeah.
it was probably a nicer work environment because you didn't have to get games out on specific deadlines. I remember as a kid, games just came out, and you're like,
Yes.
okay, I want to play that. That's cool. You see like you'd see an advert on the TV, and it's like Resident Evil's coming out. It's like I want to play that game, but there
Yes.
was never this like pre-order or like digital copies. There's never none of that. It was just you go to the store and you have a look around. I remember I never got brand new games. It was always like the pre-owned ones because I think it's smart from my parents. It's like you don't
Yeah,
need
very much.
a brand new game,
No.
especially at my age. I started off well saying that I didn't get a pre-owned game of Pokemon Blue, but that was my
Okay.
first game. And then if we're talking like console based, I got a PlayStation 1 and I must have been like 6 or
Okay.
7, I believe. And I just remember playing Spyro. My dad did get Resident Evil.
Okay.
I think he put that down very quickly, not because it was scary for him, but because, it's a puzzle game, and because graphics weren't brilliant, the puzzles were insanely hard.
Yes.
um,
Yes.
and then from there, it was the PlayStation 2, and God, then FIFA, because I was football mad as a kid. Loads
Yes.
of games of FIFA.
Oh,
Uh,
FIFA.
and then let me think, PlayStation 3, and then I bought myself an Xbox 360 because all of my friends were on Xbox 360 and I didn't want to be left alone, so I had two consoles. So that's when I think I hit peak gamer. Yeah, like
Okay.
I have both mainstream consoles and a what was the Nintendo console of the time?
Probably a DS,
DS.
DSi,
Yeah.
one of the newer DSs.
So
Yeah.
I had all three of the major players, and that's when I think I hit peak gamer.
Gamer.
Um,
There you go.
what about you, Luke? Like, when did you hit peak gamer for you?
Oh my gosh, peak. So I would. Okay, so my history with video games is kind of very similar to yours. I started off with a Game Boy Color, Pokemon Red. We've talked about this multiple times. Pokemon was my first Game Boy Color. My mom got it for me for Christmas. And then we ended up getting a PlayStation One. Just like you, Spyro was the main game. Spyro and Frogger were the two main ones I really remember playing a lot on my PlayStation. And then Tony Hawk was another big one. We inherited my aunt's PlayStation Two. My aunt bought a PS2, which was so random. I just remember as a kid, like she had a PlayStation 2. I'm like, why does my aunt have a PlayStation 2? That's so weird. But we inherited that, and that was probably the main one. That one bit the dust, and I got the PS2 Slim, which was really awesome. And well,
The
those were
Slims. Back
the
when the
Slims
Slims were
were
actually slim. Not
exactly.
not like now where it's like we just took off the disk drive. It's like, no,
Yes.
that doesn't count.
Doesn't count. And so that was the last console that anyone ever got me. And so for me specifically, my mom's an amazing mom, and she always I have a funny story to talk to you about my mom and me and her with video games. But after that, my mom was like, you're old enough now, you can buy your own video games if you really love video games. Because she wasn't like anti video games, but she also didn't like the fact that I would stay inside and play video games for 4 or 5 hours at a time. She's like, if you want to do that, you can kind of pay for it yourself. I was like, all right, cool. So I went to a yard sale. I sold some of my stuff, bought a Nintendo DS with that for Pokemon. And then when I was in high school, I got my first ever job, and I bought a PlayStation 3 with that. And then I would probably say that was probably my big gamer moment. It was that PS3 era, but we didn't have internet. Like I didn't have like not non-dial-up Wi-Fi internet until I was in 11th grade. So I was a single player guy. Like the only time I
Yep.
would play with friends was when I would go to my friend's house. So a lot of my games were your single player games. So like your Final Fantasies, your Kingdom Hearts, your the fighting games where I would just play against the computer for hours and hours online. And because I didn't have anyone else to play with, we didn't go online back then. Also, online gaming wasn't super narrowed out around that time specifically. And then I would say I really reached peak gamer when I was in college, which is like a crazy thing to say. But when I was in college, I got an Xbox One, and me and my core group of friends, 4 or 5 guys, we would have boys' night every Friday where we would literally bring our Xbox over, and we would game for hours and
LAN
hours, like
parties.
FIFA, GTA 5, like all those games. And that's probably where I would say I reached peak gamer, where I was playing like a god amount of games because I was in college. I had finished up college. I never was like a super studious person. I mean, I would get my test done, and then I'd be like, all right, time to play the game. And that was probably peak gamer for me. And then after college, still gamed a lot. I have a PC, I have a PS5 now. Had a PS, got a PS4 as well. But yeah, I would say I always consider myself a gamer. I don't think there's a day that goes by where I don't and play some type of game, whether it be on the console, on my phone, or on my PC. But
Yeah,
yeah, always
I've
been
been
a
very
gamer.
lucky that I haven't been dragged into the old mobile market.
I mean, it's really Pokemon Go. It really is just Pokemon Go for me.
I think
I
everyone had a
won't
Pokemon
lie.
Go streak. I definitely did.
Yeah.
I got to about level 33.
Hmm.
This was back when max cap was 40. Um,
Nice.
but I think the
50.
problem was that I didn't play enough. So
Mhm.
like as the raids power creep went up, like I didn't really have many like friends on there. So it's
Yeah.
like I can't solo them, and I don't really go outside anymore. So
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, I also like the one cool thing about I'll touch on Pokemon Go really quick. The coolest thing about Pokemon Go in mine is there is like if you live in a big enough area and you don't mind going out to like a park or an area that has a lot of Pokestops, there are people out there. And I would say like it's really crazy. I'll never forget this. I was back home and me and my roommate Kira we would go to the park, the Mount Trashmore Park, which is a giant park. And first, like, let's go do this community. I had never done a community day. My first community day was literally like sometime last year, and it was blew my mind that there was probably at least over 500 people at this park, and I would say about 300 of them were on their phone playing Pokemon Go. And I was like, that blew my mind at the time. Because I'm like, one, that's crazy, and two, like it really is that community aspect with Pokemon Go, which I do really appreciate. Yeah, there is a power creep and all that, but yeah, love Pokemon Go. But yeah, that's my mobile game. I don't think there's a day that I don't flip it up a couple times and catch a couple Pokemon around me. Like, all right, I caught my Pokemon for the
I
day.
did see
Oh,
that. It was a really random news story, but what is it? There's a Simpsons mobile game, like a city builder. It's
really?
getting it's closing down,
Oh no!
and I think everyone at some point when they transitioned to touchscreen device, I think played that Simpsons game because I remember playing it and like spending real money to build the quickie mart faster. It's like
Yes, I remember this because like they were like the Facebook games as well, where they're. I think that was my first introduction
Farmville.
to like, yeah, dude, you don't you don't understand. My I went to school at Longwood University, which was located in Farmville, Virginia. So when I told people I lived in Farmville, they're like, the game on Facebook. I'm like, no, it's a small town in Virginia.
Who is this
Like,
weirdo?
yeah, who is this weirdo living in Farmville? What a loser! I'm like, no, it's a small little town in Virginia. That's where my school's at. But yes, I remember those games a lot, man. And yeah, I've always been a gamer, man. It's been really cool. One thing I wanted to touch on because I mentioned my mother recently, and so my mom was actually again while she did once I was around 13 make me start buying my own consoles. She always was super supportive, like playing games with me. So I really was like thinking about it. I was like, you know what, mom? I texted my mom randomly. I think I texted her like 2 o'clock on a Wednesday. And I said, hey, mom, what games do you remember me playing a lot when I was a kid and a teenager that was not Pokemon? And she hit me back with like a whole list, and it literally blew my mind because it unlocked so many memories. And I'm gonna read it off to you. First thing she mentioned, Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball Z. I played that game nonstop. The newest one's coming out like in 3 days. I'm definitely going to be buying that. Obviously, your Madden's, over here in America,
Yep.
American football is very, very big here. This one took me by surprise. There was a 2002 Winter Olympics game on the PlayStation 2 that me and my mom would play together. And she
The
literally
Olympics games
remembers
used
like
to slap.
that
I
used to
remember
slap.
those.
And she literally remembers, she's like, yeah, you remember that we could never figure out the ice skating thing. And they would always fall on the ground and start crying because we were so bad because they would always get like D's on their grading. And I'm like, what a core memory that I just unlocked. She mentioned the farming games where I would sell crops. That was Harvest Moon. I grew up playing
Okay,
Harvest Moon a
yeah.
lot. Spyro, obviously. And then she brought back, I don't know if you played this. Are you like Lord of the Rings at all?
I,
Like, did you ever watch Lord of the Rings or play any like Lord of the Rings
I
thing?
it's controversial. I
Okay.
have never finished a Lord of the Rings film
Okay. Fair. Well, they're wrong.
because
Okay.
I just fall asleep.
There.
But I like the concept of it, and yes,
Yes.
I've played. Was it Shadow of Mordor on PlayStation
Okay.
3? So
Okay.
like,
Yeah. So
I like it. Yeah.
and so there was I think it was Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, the game on PlayStation 2. And me and her, there was a co-op mode, and me and her would play this co-op mode together all the time. We could never beat this level. And it just, she literally said, we would always get stuck on the Legolas level where they were shooting arrows. And I don't think we ever once crossed that bridge. And you would get so mad at me because I would always die. And I just like, oh my gosh. And then she mentioned Assassin's Creed, which was like probably one of my top favorite games of all time. It's honestly one of the reasons why I actually wanted to study history because I didn't realize how much I was always good at history and I got my degree in history, fun fact. But I would remember I would play the game and when you would unlock something, they'd pop up a little bubble of like the historical thing. And I would sit there and read the whole 3 paragraphs every time something paired. I'm like, man, this is super interesting. I'm like, man, I might really like history. Hold up. And so
it is amazing how like putting like a usually quote unquote boring topic into something more fun will actually like unlock like what is it like an easier way of learning. I did the same thing.
Exactly.
So I have a GCSE, which is like, what do you have over there when you before high school? No, like before
GED.
Okay, yeah, probably. Like you're
so.
about 16.
Yeah, you can get your GED. You can graduate high school early, and you can get your GED here.
Yeah, so we have like, well, the UK has like GCSEs, A levels, which is college, but your college is university, and then we have the bachelor's in university.
Okay.
So yeah, I went on to do classics, which is classical literature. So you're talking like the Odyssey and Roman history and like all of the super old stuff. I was really annoyed because you had to be good at French and Spanish for you to. My school offered Latin.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, we had Latin.
I wanted to do Latin because I wanted to do classics and Latin, but I had to do classics and history because I wasn't good at French. So if you weren't good at French, you didn't get put in a Spanish class. If you weren't good at Spanish, you weren't allowed to take Latin. So they put it behind a paywall, man.
No, that's funny.
I have the same thing. So I played. There was a Rome game. Like, what was it called? Like the Ghost of Rome or something? On PlayStation 2.
Rome? Oh, PlayStation 2. Never mind. Okay, that's
was it PS3? It might be Rise of Rome or Rise. It was something to do with like you were a Roman soldier and you had to go. I think it was like semi ripped off of Gladiator, and you had to go like you were in the Colosseum doing stuff, and then I think eventually you took on the Emperor.
Okay.
But that like fueled my love for classics, and that's probably why I ended up taking it in the end. As a school topic, which I think gaming is a gateway drug
it can
into
be.
learning.
It really, like I hate, like it was so funny. People are like, why history? I was like, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I really enjoyed Assassin's Creed, and I was just like, damn, I'm more interested. Like I like the story, the gameplay of the game just fine, but I'm just more invested in the setting and the characters and what's going on behind the scenes. And reading I literally would read every little, like, oh, you're at you're in Sicily, and I'm like reading all about Sicily in 1492, and oh, here's Machiavelli, and there's like a 3 whole page paragraph about a Machiavelli and stuff like that, and I'm like, bro, this is actually really cool, and I'm like, and then from there, I'm like, I think I just really like history because I've always been good at it. I don't know what it was with history. Like I was always like, history was never an issue. I was like, I remember one time in high school when the teacher literally had to sit me down because they were doing like pick a topic. He would say a topic and you had to answer the question about it. And I literally got like 15 in a row. I went through the entire class. He's like, all right, Luke, sit down. Like, and I'm like, I wasn't even trying. I never studied a single time in high school. And that really fucked me up in college when I got to college because I actually had to study in college. But in high school, it just came so naturally. I think that just goes down to like how shit the American education system is a little bit. But yeah, video games made me love history, and that's why I have a degree in history.
Yeah, like I mean, I kind of have a similar thing as well. Like I think I pretty much learned to like fluently read off Pokemon Blue. which is insane to say
Yeah, you
that as a
mentioned
kid.
that.
I was
Yeah.
just, I mean, we all know at least Pokemon is the king of smashing
Yeah.
A.
Yes. Very much
Smash
so.
A simulator. But
Yes.
I remember as a kid with my Pokemon Blue copy that I would get like stuck on trainers, mainly gym leaders or puzzles, the gym puzzles mainly because
Gym
I'm
puzzles.
like
Yes.
4 or 5 years old at the time, and I
I
would
still
pass
get
it,
stuck on some of the gym puzzles, man.
and I would pass it to my mum, and then she would like read it to me and then do the battle for me as well. It's like,
That's so funny.
because I wouldn't read it, I'd just be like, "Smash A! Why isn't my Pidgey beating this Onyx?" um, so I
That's
believe
so
you sent me an image that you told me not to
yeah.
open up. Um,
Yes.
so we can. Do you want me to open this up? Because I believe it's game related.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that I said that I wanted to do is because we were talking about games, and I was like, you know what? I really wanted to sit down and I really wanted to like figure out like what games really resonated with us and what we would say would be our favorite games. And if you guys have been around the internet for a while within the last couple of years, people have been doing 3x3s. We're late to the trend, but we're doing a video game 3x3. So I sent Jake mine and he's gonna look at it, ask me some questions about it, and hopefully you guys can see it up there.
Yeah, so if you're watching the video, you'll be able to see it. But I have just pulled up a 3x3 square of Luke's. Are we saying like most memorable games? We're not saying like top games, but
Yeah,
like
these are not my these are some of my favorite games, but these also have a little bit about like what I guess it would describe me as a gamer in the different moments in life. So, for those who are audio listeners, I'll read over the nine that you see up here. So at the top left, we've got Forza Horizon 2, we've got Spyro, the Reignited trilogy. We have probably the newest game on the list, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Down below in the next column, you got FIFA 14. Middle, you got Pokemon Heart Gold. Far right in the middle, you got Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Bottom left, probably my favorite game of all time, Persona 5 Royale. Middle, bottom, cop out answer, but it's the Assassin's Creed Ezio collection because I couldn't pick one of his games as my favorite because I love them all. And then at the very bottom right, we have Soul Calibur 4. So, I mean, Jake, after looking through the list, do you have any questions about any specific games or like
yeah.
just in
So
general? Yeah.
like well, the ones that I am aware of, Forza I never played,
Yes.
and there's a good reason for this. PlayStation gamer. So
Yes. You had Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo. Spyro, I think we're one of many. I think there's a determining factor in gamers when it comes to this generation, mainly PlayStation 1. Do you play Crash? Do you play Spyro? There's one or the other. Like,
Yes. I can tell you right now, I never played Crash. I still have never played a Crash game to this day. Not because of any blind loyalty to Spyro, just because I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that stupid Bandicoot.
You're pushing the waters, boy. And then FIFA, I get Pokemon. You've got Heart Gold, but it's the same as Pokemon Gold.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed, again, PlayStation gamer. I think they ended up on PlayStation, but I swear it was an Xbox thing.
And they were both. They both.
Okay.
I didn't have an Xbox until I was in college. I remember playing Assassin's Creed 2 in high school on the PlayStation.
So those are the ones I'm like aware of.
Yeah.
My gaming forte or collection has never expanded to Final Fantasy, Dragon Ball, Persona, or Soul Calibur. So if you could
So
like tell me about those because I have no clue.
I think it's really funny that the ones you mentioned they're all considered more Japanese anime esque style games. So for me, I really the biggest thing. Well, we'll start at the top right, and
Yeah.
yeah, Final Fantasy 7. I played Final Fantasy 7 on the PlayStation 1, and I remember playing it, not really quite understanding what I was doing, but just remember just being really like mesmerized by what was happening with these polygons. Like I just remember just like getting through it, powering through it, like just grinding levels. And there's specific scenes that happen in the game. I'm not going to get into spoilers in case anyone has never played Final Fantasy VII, the original. But this is the remake, reimagining of those games. So the way Final Fantasy was made, they came into three different discs because there was not enough space to put the entire game on one disc. So the remakes have three different discs, and they're basically three different games. But this one in particular covers the way the game is structured at the very beginning of the game. You're kind of stuck in one specific area. And this second part, the world kind of opens up and you start learning more about the world of Final Fantasy VII before you get into the climax. The climax has not been reimagined yet, and that probably, if we do this in 2 years, I'll probably replace this one with the newer one because the climb ending the Final Fantasy VII is amazing. But every time I play this game, I it's like you as a kid you imagine this is what it really looked like because it didn't look like this. But in
Yeah.
my mind, when I turned it on, I literally had the biggest smile on my face the entire time for the first hour of this game. Like just sitting here doing this with my controller, just like having a great time, dude. And it's really just what it's the characters, it's the story, it's the graphics, it's what it means to me, and definitely one of those. It just came out like this past March. Lovely game. I love that game. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. It's a fighting game, and I love Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z is probably my favorite show. Point blank. Period. Doesn't matter if it's anime, regular show. I love Dragon Ball. I literally have one of the main characters' sword in the back right of my corner, right there. Like that's how much I like Dragon Ball Z, and it's the best fighting game in my mind that there is. If PlayStation was able to clock hours on there, I think it'd be well over 1,000 hours I played that game. I literally would play because each character would have like a unique dialogue option. So I would pick one character, and they, mind you, PlayStation 2 they had 130 plus characters in this game. I would like pick the one main guy, go through all 129s, go to the next character, go through all 100 just to hear the intros, the little fight dialogues they would have. Love that game to death. I literally would. You think of the Linkin Park AMVs with these games, like that's like I would play Linkin Park while I was playing this game just to get in the mood. Continuing down that bottom right, Soul Calibur 4, another fighting game, man, and it's probably my go-to like classic fighting game. You know, you have your Street Fighters, you have your Mortal Kombats, you have your Tekkens, and then you have your nerds like me that like Soul Calibur. And Soul Calibur is a 3D fighting game where they use swords instead of their fists to fight. But
Okay.
Soul Calibur is mainly known for their guest characters. I don't know if you can tell, but there's Darth Vader in that picture. And
I was
Darth
wondering
Vader
that.
Darth Vader was a playable character in that game.
That's
And on the
amazing.
Xbox version, there was Yoda. And then as a secret character, they had the apprentice from the Force Unleashed games. And I played that game for hours. They also had one of the best created characters. You could create your own fighter in that game, give them their own unique style. Super fun. Like some of the character creations in that game were awesome. But as Soul Calibur progressed, like it started off with Soul Calibur 2 had Heihachi from Tekken, and they had Spawn for the Xbox, and then they had motherfucking Link as a guest character.
No,
Soul
that's
Calibur
sick.
3, I can't remember the guest character in that one, but 4 had the Star Wars guys. Soul Calibur 5 had fucking Ezio from Assassin's Creed. Soul Calibur 6 had freaking Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series. And then they also had 2B from I can't even remember the name of the thing, but if you know who 2B is, you've probably seen a picture of that girl somewhere. But anyways, like their guest characters are on the point, and I just remember sitting down playing that game nonstop. My mom would play this game with me, and she'd just know immediately that I would let her win the first 2 rounds, just so she would continue to play with me for a little bit longer, and then I would just absolutely destroy her for the last 3 rounds. And then the last one you mentioned, Persona 5 Royale. So Persona 5 is one of the newer game series on this list that I played. I didn't start picking up the Persona series till I was probably like 5-ish, so pretty new into it, but it's been around for a really long time. And Persona 5, it's just a vibe, dude. That's really what it is. It's a long fucking game. It's about 130 hours without
Okay.
rushing. Like literally, you could
Yeah.
probably like at a normal pace. Like if you're rushing, you probably get it done in about 100. If you're taking your time, you probably are encroaching those 200 hours. But 130-hour game. The characters on it are really, really fun. It's a vibe. The music's really good. The combat's really good. But really, what it is the storyline specifically of Persona 5 that really gets me. So it's really about these teenagers that are literally dealing with injustice. And what really grabbed me within the first game is the first moments of the game is one of the first main villains is your classic teacher creep vibe going on. I'm not going to say the words, but we can all kind of imagine where it's
Yep.
going forward. When within the first 30 minutes, a character attempts to do something that's like heartbreaking that this character has caused her to feel in such a way that they felt like they needed to take this drastic measure. And when I saw that happen, like I don't think I've ever played a video game that talked about these topics. Like it really, they like the topics that they cover in this game was really just gripping, and it just hooked me in, hook, line, and sinker. The characters, like they're called the Phantom Thieves, but there's a group of 6 individuals, and they just play really well on each other. And this is the extended version of that, and it's just by far my favorite game of all time. Loved every minute of it. Those were the gaming sessions where I was way too old to be sitting down playing a game for 12 hours at a time. But I literally remember one time turning this game on at like 2 in the afternoon and then getting up and it was 8 the next morning. I'm like, what happened?
The
And
black hole.
the black hole, like I don't think I moved. I think I moved to go pee, and that was probably about it. And yeah, those games, man, those are like my favorite. But yeah, they do definitely tend to be on more of the Japanese anime style games because I just kind of the vibe I like. And the one game we already know about is Pokemon. Again, Pokemon's my favorite. But I always like to talk about FIFA. I never played another game mode in FIFA other than FIFA Pro Clubs, and that was the game mode that I would play with my friends, and so that was why I put that game in here because that was the game I remember specifically playing with my friends all the time, and it's the only time I've ever been so mad at a game that I've uninstalled FIFA multiple times. But that was the one title where we got to Division 1 in Pro Clubs. So that's why that one's there. We
Yeah.
never got to never again after that round of FIFA. So that's
We'll
why
give you
that one's in.
a small spoiler into Mike 9. I didn't put FIFA on. It was close, but for that exact reason, I
Yes.
uninstalled that game so many times. I think
Yeah.
my last FIFA's was probably 20. So I played every single one until FIFA 20.
That's
Um,
awesome. And then before we move on to yours, I do just want to touch specifically on Assassin's Creed, just the Ezio collection in general. Whoever's listening to this podcast and they are sick and tired of Assassin's Creed, like their open worldness kind of games, go back and just play the Ezio collection trilogy. Like
yeah,
if you've never played it, like literally Ezio, the character of Ezio is such a well developed character. He goes through so much growth in his 3 games, man, to the point where there's one, and Jake, I'm gonna have you watch the trailer when we finish recording. But for the last game, there's this epic trailer that happens, and I'm just like, this is the end of the game. This is the end of SEO's like story, and I'm like so invested in it. I literally own the novelizations of those 3 games, like in book form, because I love Ezio as a character so much. And yeah, those games specifically, like 100% every little thing. Those little feathers you had to collect, you best believe I got every damn feather you had to collect. Those 200 little feathers on those buildings. I went through it all, but yeah, peak Assassin's Creed right there. I don't know why they haven't like officially remade Assassin's Creed 2. Ubisoft, I don't know what you're doing with your time. I heard you guys are remaking Assassin's Creed 4, which is my second favorite game of the Assassin's Creed series. So good on you. But once you guys do that, go back to the good stuff and give us what we all want. But yeah, that's my 3x3.
um, this one is
Hey!
mine.
Okay.
So There are some similar facts. There is an Assassin's Creed on there.
Yeah.
My favorite is Black Flag.
Okay.
Um, I know it's a bit of a controversial topic, I think, in the Assassin's Creed community. I just like pirates, and I think that that game was because I don't think I've played any other Assassin's Creed,
Okay.
barring
Oh,
Black Flag.
that's your first.
That's my
Okay.
one and only.
Okay.
And I think I played it because it was on sale on Steam. I played it on PC. I think I got it for like £5, and it was like, right, I'm playing this, and this is going to be my weekend. And then
Okay.
I proceeded to do what you did, a 12, 13 hour sessions of just sea shanties and killing random people.
Oh my goodness. Great times.
Spyro is on there. Like I said earlier, you're either a Spyro or a Crash guy. I'm a Spyro guy. Pokemon Gold
Yep.
was a highlight of my gaming career. No, I think Johto is back there. If for the viewers, it's my happy place in
Yes.
terms of all the gens. And then we go into like you. I didn't really play multiplayer a lot, so we have a lot of story based games. Mainly God of War,
Yep.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Uncharted 2. I almost did the cop out, Luke, and I almost put the Uncharted collection in there because they're all fantastic.
Yes,
Um,
they all are.
but I went with Among Thieves as if I
Okay.
had to pick one. Um, and then Metro Last Light. But I could have picked
Okay.
2033 as well, but Metro games are just, oh, chef's kiss. And then I had to put it in Sekiro because
Okay.
the sense of achievement. I've never done like a From Software game before, like Elden Ring, Bloodborne. When I beat Sekiro, that was the sense of achievement was insane. And I just loved the story behind it. Even though I kind of didn't follow the story because it's just repeated death over and over and over
Yes.
again, you kind of lose track of where the story's going because I'd spend like the Great Ape, for example. I spent 2 days on that trying to beat
Yes.
that thing. Um, you kind of lose the story. And then when I hit multiplayer games for the first time, a funny story about this. I didn't realize that like online gaming existed when I hit this. So COD
Okay.
4, I played it. This is probably my most played game of all time.
Okay.
COD 4. I think I have because I was playing it from release until about I want to say like 2022.
Shit.
So that's like a long time. I think I must
That's
have like
almost
over 500 days in COD 4.
that's at least
Um,
10 years,
yeah,
if not more.
I think
Probably more.
I have over 500 days among all consoles in COD 4. Um, but fun story, I didn't realize it was online multiplayer. So we were just doing like split screen with friends and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember one day clicking on multiplayer and then like expecting, you know, like the little connection thing pops up. I was like, oh, it's not going to work. And then
Yeah.
it threw me in and it was like, find a game. I was like, wait, what? And then I clicked find a game and it put me in a lobby. And I was like, hang on, like, is this bots? Like, I'm used to playing with like bots offline.
Yeah.
Um, and then I went in and there's people screaming down the mic, swearing at me. And it's like, this is amazing. What is
Yes.
this? And then that started the whole like, oh, I can actually online game because I was a dumb kid, absolute dumb
Yes.
kid back. Like, I didn't know that existed, but yeah, that is my Punnett Square. Well, 3x3 Square.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of just classics on there. I think even PlayStation realized that like they sell when you
Yeah.
buy the PS5, you get the PlayStation Classics as a gift, which
Exactly.
includes God of War and Tomb
Mhm.
Raider. I think it might even include a. No, it won't include a Metro.
No, I would say so. A lot they might. So when you get a PlayStation, you can sign up, and this is only guaranteed if you sign up for the PlayStation Plus. They have a crap ton of high quality games that are free for you just to download from the game library, including God of War, the Uncharted. I think there might be a Metro on there. You know, literally top tier games, but specifically God of War and Uncharted, I know are on there
Yeah,
that you can
and
just
I would
download right
highly
off.
recommend them. Like single
Yeah.
player. story games, like storytelling alone in these games is insanely good. Um,
Yes.
I think that the Uncharted series is probably a short second to the God of War storyline. Like for me,
Yeah.
God of War is just peak peak gaming,
Funny,
and it's got the
funny
Norse
enough.
mythology in it as well. So it's
Uh,
like, oh, there's just something about it.
funny enough, the so out of all the so I have played every game on here besides Sekiro and Metro and God of War. I have never picked up a God like PS2 God of War, new God of War. And it's not because I don't think I'll like it. It's just because I think I know I will like it so much that I'm not ready to sit down and be absorbed in a game at this point. Even though it's like I don't think that it takes that long to beat, but still, I just know like these are great games for a reason, and I know the second I load it up, I'm going to be hooked, line and sinker on a game, and I've got too many games in the backlog to say it's Wednesday. Let me download God of War real quick and test it out. But yeah, all these games, man, that you have up here, man, I think are great. Like Sekiro, I remember watching you stream Sekiro. That was always really fun. I will watch anyone play a From Software game. I know that I have built-in anger issues with games where I know if I just take my time, I will get through it. I'm a very impatient person. I don't have time to learn how to dodge every mechanic just because the game
Yep.
wants me to. And that's why I will never pick up one of those games. Metro, I'm not a shooter guy. I just I don't know what it is about games with guns, even though they're not like Call of Duty games. Don't know what it is. Like Bioshock didn't hit for me. Metro never hit for me. The only game that had guns that really hit for me was Uncharted. It's only because the story was so
Yep.
good in those Uncharted games.
And there's not a
Like
big focus on guns, I think.
exactly, it's
Like
not. It's not
it's not
super.
the same with Tomb Raider. Like you get a gun, but
Yeah,
I think they actively like guide the player to maybe not use this.
yeah.
And maybe try a bit of stealth in the middle. But if anyone's watched any of my playthroughs, I don't do stealth. I don't do
Yes,
stealth.
you just go
Uh,
in guns a blazing. Yes,
uh,
yeah, and that Tomb Raider game, what a and I just want to touch on because I played every single one of those Tomb Raider, Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider games. What a great trilogy, man! Like a lot of people gave the last one flat because they felt like Laura was being super edgy, and I'm like, I'm here for it. Just
yeah,
let her be edgy. She's the Tomb Raider now because I really love seeing her development from being this girl who's been lost trying to survive to, and the second one getting stranded again, but kind of just figuring out like the thing and actually becoming the Tomb Raider, and then
yeah.
this one being her kind of like hanging up the hat, being like I should probably stop doing this, and they did such a great job with that. And should they ever want to make another Tomb Raider game, whatever they do with that, just
I
keep
think
whatever y'all did doing that and just make it better. That's all
I
you
think
got to
it's
do.
hard, especially for Tomb Raider and God of War.
Yeah.
The nostalgia trap of what people expect is very hard to like accommodate for. Like if I was saying go play God of War, I wouldn't recommend playing God of War 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Like the nostalgia trap, when you go back and play these old games, these old retro games, it's just not the same.
Mm,
As what like when you said I think it was Final Fantasy 7 when you sit there with a smile on your face and it's
yeah.
just like you're engrossed in this world, but the graphics, like it doesn't make a difference because the graphics at the time were amazing. When you go
Yeah.
back and you sit there, it's like oh, and you don't realize, but we get mollycoddled. The quality of life
Yeah.
adjustments in newer games carry you through, and you become to expect those. Where I went back and played. I think I was going through the whole God of War series, and I got to halfway through God of War 1, and it was just like I can't play this. It's not
Yeah.
what I remember. Um,
No.
and then I suppose I could give some fall short shout outs. Mario Kart has to
Yes.
be. I didn't think it's not a storyline game, so it's not like invested, but there's not much to talk about other than just grilling your friends with shells.
Yes.
We've had a lot of fun in Mario Kart, and I think that felt
Yes.
a bit short. FIFA again, I probably the same amount of hours in FIFA than I do in Call of Duty.
Mhm.
Again, didn't put it in there because it's just rage-inducing headache
Yes.
behavior. Medal of Honor, I almost put in there. Again, another
Love Medal
shooting
of
one.
Honor.
Fell just short because I couldn't put it in over COD, unfortunately. And then I'm trying to think if there's like anything else in my game library that maybe I missed where I've played a lot of time on it, but like it didn't break
Yeah.
into the top 9, I think.
Yeah. I have one and from memory, and it's just the Kingdom Hearts series, man. I grew up with Kingdom Hearts. The crossover of Disney and the gameplay of like the Final Fantasy series, man. What a whoever came up with that idea needs a freaking Nobel Peace Prize. That's just it's such a good game. It's the most complicated storyline you'll ever hear. Like I literally you'll there's literally like 10-hour dissection videos on the storyline of Kingdom Hearts. I do not recommend going into it for the story. Go into it for the gameplay. The gameplay is actually really good. It actually still holds up really well, which I'm very surprised with. But there aren't too many games that make me cry, and the last Kingdom Hearts 3 game made me cry. And I can really think like Persona made me cry. Assassin's the SEO games made me cry. But like that one, like I just remember like just putting the I remember having just chills on my hair was sitting up on my arms. And I just kind of when the game's over and you just watch the titles go down
Yeah.
the game, you just don't move because you're like not trying to get back. You're just like it's over, and that's how it was. I'm like it's over. Oh
There are a
wow.
lot of games that I've played and it's like you just don't want them to end. There are a couple. I think at the moment, Breath of the Wild. Um, I, I've never finished it because I
Yeah.
don't want to finish it. I
Mhm.
got right before Ganon. Literally, there's one mission to go,
Yeah.
and I haven't done it because I don't want to
That's
finish the game. Um, I will have to at some point because I also bought
yes.
Tears of the Kingdom and then only played it 5 hours, so I do need to play those Zelda games.
Yeah.
Um, no, that is our, I believe,
Yeah.
our gaming histories, which is
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
I've had a nice trip down memory lane, Luke. Thank you for suggesting
Yeah.
this.
You're
It's
welcome, man.
now I have to go back and play the ball.
Yes, go to that back catalog. Go load up your Steam library real quick and check that. Check what you got to play. I do have one thing before we start wrapping up that I want to mention. It's kind of just tying up. We talked about our favorite games and some of the gaming movies. Just you don't have to give me a bunch, but give me one or two games that you just that you picked up and you just absolutely despise.
The
Or
spies.
there or just did not like. Like you just said, I don't want to play this. I don't like it. I thought it was something else. Do you have any games
God.
like those?
Oh, you're putting me on. I'm trying to think of like if so. I think through no fault of its own, other than like me just not gelling with the game, Assassin's Creed Origins,
Okay, fair.
um, or is it Odyssey? I think it was Odyssey.
Uh, which one are we? Egypt or Rome?
Rome.
Okay, Odyssey. Yep.
Um, I played about 4 hours of it and then put it away. Just didn't gel with it. I knew it was probably what I really want because I love like Roman history and stuff, but it's
Yeah,
just maybe it was just not the time to play that.
that's a big game. There's a
Yeah,
lot to. It's a meaty game.
and then again, similar story. Love the Metro series.
Mhm.
Didn't play through Exodus. I think the transition to semi-open world didn't help the game at all. I loved the linearity of it. I loved the storytelling. The original ones. If you have a choice whether you ever play them on like game mode or fun mode
Mhm.
where it gives you a load of ammo, or you play
Yeah.
it the way the story was supposed to be told, where you're scavenging for bullets and like you'll end up with like 8 bullets in your magazine all game. And it's like you need to shoot
Yes.
9 monsters, and it's like I don't have enough bullets for this.
Yes.
So I think I got lost a bit on Metro Exodus, where I was really hyped for that.
Okay.
Those two, I think, are probably the ones. And then I suppose if you had to go down the Pokemon route, Pokemon X and Y.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Fair.
had to force myself to finish those.
Yeah. I look back, so like I've got three as well, and it's kind of funny that like two of them are they're all kind of in the similar vein. So obviously, when it comes to Pokemon, the one Pokemon game that I just don't like, and I think it's because of what I did with this game is I every time I look at Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I want to throw up. And I think it's because I stayed up way too long playing that game and I just have bad memories of that game. I think if I were to replay it, I'd probably really enjoy it. But literally, I streamed the entire game from start to finish in a race with Seb. And then I think I hopped on to the underground with you and Nick for like 2 times. And I said,
Yep.
I'm done with this fucking game. Get this game out of here. I don't want to look at it. Like every time I see it on my Switch, I'm like, ugh. I don't want to ever look at that game. And I don't think it's any fault of the game itself. I think the game is fine. I don't think it's a bad game. I literally think it's just a me problem and why I don't like it. And then you mentioned Metro, and it's kind of the same vein, but it's a shooter. It was Ghost Recon Wildlands. It was a 4-player co-op experience where the trailer was so hype, but the gameplay was just it was not what it was like told. It did not run well. The missions were all really glitched. And that game always left a sour taste in my mouth, specifically because I'm like, me and my friend watched the trailer. We were super excited. We saw the E3 thing. We're like, all right, it's coming. It's coming. It finally came out. And I'm like, God, this game is awful. Like, it's just like we try to play it for like a week straight. We could never get through certain missions. Like, it was glitchy. Those lobbies were messed up. And then I do have an Assassin's Creed on the list, and I'm gonna get really passionate real quick. I fucking hate Assassin's Creed 3. I hate that game. Not, and again, it's not. I'd never finished it because there's a specific thing that happened. In spoilers, if you haven't finished Assassin's Creed 3, but in the first 3 Assassin's Creed games, you're in the future and you follow this guy called Desmond. And I was so invested in this future storyline. And I guess Assassin's Creed was just moving in a different direction. But they killed Desmond off like right before the final act in Assassin's Creed 3. They just kill him in the storyline. Like they don't wait to the end to kill him. They just kill him in the freaking middle of the game. And I fucking unplugged my PlayStation 3 controller. I threw it across the room. I literally was so fucking mad. And every time I look at that fucking game, I get infuriated because I love the American Revolution, but I could not give a fuck about Connor, the character in that game. He's boring. I'm so sorry you're an Indian. Everyone took your land. Boo-hoo, cry me a river. You killed off one. You're the reason why one of my favorite things in the game trilogy is gone. I fucking hated the first. Like I was so mad because the first hour of the game you play as a Templar. I'm like, ew, get this out of here. And I just remember being so excited for Assassin's Creed 3, and then that shit happened. And I almost didn't play Assassin's Creed 4 because I'm like, what's the point? Desmond's not in the game. Where are they going with it? And Assassin's Creed never really kind of went back to the future timeline. They did in the newer games a little bit, but it's still very much in the background. But man, I was fucking pissed, dude. I was not happy at all. I was angry. Like I was so mad. My roommates were like, "Why are you so mad? Why aren't you playing the game?" I'm like, "I don't want to fucking talk about it. They killed my boy Desmond. Fuck this shit. Fuck Assassin's Creed 3. Fuck the American Revolution. Fuck you, Connor." And I've never touched that game again. And every time I look at it, like a little vein pops up in my head, and I'm still very passionate about this game to this day. I fucking hate that game.
Yeah, I don't have a game with that much passion. Oh wow! Oh man. Well, it's been
anyways.
A good chat. It's been a good chat.
It's been a good chat, guys. I mean, we'll go ahead and
we can wrap it up. As I hope you've all enjoyed our game playthroughs. Our gaming collection playthroughs. If you want to rant in the comments, because I imagine we've said some community dividing stuff. Please feel free.
Crash.
Fuck you, Crash. Fuck Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Leave your
Um,
comments in the at the end of the video. You guys can leave comments on Spotify. Remember, guys, these things are planned to go weekly. You know, we like to do this every week. And you guys ever have any topics you want us to discuss? And if you guys are in the hunt for some nice gameplay, Jake is still doing his thing over on YouTube. So definitely, if you have not checked out Jake's separate channel, it's in the link for the podcast as well. Watch him play his games if you want that gameplay itch. See one of us. You're not going to see it from me. All my gaming is hidden now. But guys, again, thank you guys for hopping in and tuning in. Jake, thanks again for spending a little bit of your weekend with me, guys. And till next time, have a good one. Bye.